So, what were those 5 tips that could help the anxious dogs that people get as clients so they don't have to turn them away and, say goodbye to that income and they can make a larger, more deep and impactful, significance on someone's lives and the dogs' lives?
Yeah, so I like to break this down by the five senses just to make it a little bit easier for us to remember. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was sight. So dogs, sight isn't their primary sense, but it is pretty up there. And anxious dogs in particular tend to be a little bit more sensitive to what they can see. So one of the things that I recommend anybody who has an anxious dog or is boarding anxious dogs does is to put as much of their lighting on a dimmer as possible. The
Mm.
darker you can keep their environment when they don't need to be actively interacting with somebody or, you know, out. Obviously, you can't dim the sun if they're out for a walk, but the darker you can keep their environment the rest of the time, the more readily they'll be able to decompress and come back down from any stressful environment, like any stressful event that they've had throughout the day.
Wow. So that applies even to natural daylight. If
Yeah,
like if you shut the blinds or the
yeah,
curtains, if you're in home and okay, wow.
yeah.
I
But
never
yeah,
knew that.
yeah. So like my off to my left is our dining area, which is where my other dog has his safe space.
Mhm.
And it's full of windows and it's beautiful with all the light on. But we keep the blinds down just to keep it as dark as possible in there. And the other place that we have set up for him is downstairs underneath the stairs.
Huh?
So it's nice and cool and dark area that he, can block out as much of the world as possible to help him just come back down.
Okay, fascinating. Why do you think that? Do you have any theories or any insight as to why that is?
Yeah, so it's basically when a dog has anxiety or, is even just more sensitive than a regular dog, like Wish, my older dog, I would say, doesn't necessarily have anxiety, but she's very sensitive. Whereas my other dog has full blown anxiety, and I love him to death, but he is a basket case. But any dog that is paying more attention to their environment, the more of their environment that they can see and smell and interact with, that's more information that's coming into their brain and filling up their bucket. So I always refer to dogs' brains as a bucket that, everything that happens to them adds some more water and rocks and all of that to the bucket. And eventually it'll overflow, which is like a panic attack or super stressful um, experience that leads them to, like, with separation anxiety dogs, like
Mhm.
chewing up their paws or breaking their way out of their crate, something like that. So we
Mhm.
try to keep the bucket as empty as possible, and we have to try and get them to empty their bucket on their own. So by keeping things dark, we're limiting how much is getting put into the bucket in the first place.